Question 5 is a graph interpretation question. We're told that students in a physics class took a practical test and a written test, and the results are shown in a table. These results correspond to a specific scatter graph given in the question, which we're told has one student's marks missing. So the task is to identify which student's marks are missing from the scatter graph. So a really helpful way of answering this question is to look at the answers. As we can see from the answers, it could only possibly be Con, Den, Theo, Go, or Joe. Another issue is that we don't appear to have an effective scale on either of the axes of the scatter graph. So we have to figure out which should we use for the practical test and which for the written test. As we can just see by gleaning through the results, we can see that the written test appears to have a maximum somewhere in the 60s. As we see, Kai received the highest at 68, whereas the practical appears to have a maximum in the teens, with Has having the highest at 19. So we can see that if we count up each of the rows and columns, we have 4 columns and 8 rows. Therefore, it's more appropriate to have the written test on the y-axis and the practical test on the x-axis. Intervals of 5 allow us to add up to 20 in the 4 columns, whereas intervals of 10 allow us to add up to 70, let's say, which appears to be the maximum, for the written test. So, we can have a look at the data. Let's start by looking at answer A, Con. Con achieved 10 in the practical test and 52 in the written test. So let's have a look at the graph. There does appear to be a result corresponding to the 10 in the practical test, but there is no corresponding result when it comes to the written test. 52. There should be a mark right here if Con was present on the graph, but he appears not to be. So we can see, by looking at the answers first, we've already identified our missing student, Con. Going through, we can see that Den, Theo, Go, and Joe are all represented on the scatter graph.